I want to give these animals the best life possible. And in turn, they really are nourishing us, just providing so much for us.
Okay, you guys, welcome back to my channel. This is another episode of Cali Girl Goes Country. I'm here with the Ciardullos at their ranch. They raise beef and sheep. And what are we going to be doing today?
You are going to be helping us throw hay to our cattle. We're going to be experiencing some really cold temps tonight, so we just want to ensure that they are loaded up, have plenty of calories, and they're ready to go.
Yep, and it's a balmy 7 degrees out here today, but the work must go on, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
First generation rancher, solving problems.
I just need to, my hand literally froze the minute I took my glove off.
Okay.
All right, so what you want to do is, are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, they come off in flakes like this. Now the key is you don't want to get it compacted, because if you get it compacted, it'll be really hard to get off the hay. You're going to want to take a flake, and you can even push it down with your foot if you want, Jess. And it'll get stuck here if you don't kind of like wiggle it off. And there you go.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Here we go.
Okay, so we get a flake.
Yep.
Put it off.
Yep.
Just like that.
Bam.
Okay.
You are a pro.
And what kind of hay is this? Is it anything special?
Well, we grow our own hay here. So that means that this hay has never been sprayed with any pesticides, no chemicals. We always want to make sure that we're giving our cattle the highest quality hay. So a lot of land is sprayed with chemicals to mitigate, weeds.
I'll switch you again.
Yep. Any of our land with any chemicals, we don't even treat our cattle with any chemicals during the summer months, like when there's a lot of flies. We don't put anything on them. We use all natural products. So our goal is to give our customers, our family, the highest quality beef. And I talk a lot about it on our page, but they will hold on in their fat. That's where the cattle will hold on to any, chemicals or any pesticides. There's been some research done that shows that cattle who have been fed grain that has pesticides sprayed on it, the residue stays in their fat. So we don't want any of that. We use our whole animal. We sell direct to consumer. We use their fat to make body and cooking tallow. So truly, we are raising some of the highest quality animals.
That's amazing. Are you ready? How long does it take them to eat all of this?
They'll get through it probably in the next several hours, especially because it's cold.
Do you have to feed them more when it's this cold?
Yes, absolutely. Cattle are really resilient, but we have to just make sure that they are prepared for these negative temperatures. So that means filling up the stock tank, making sure the water is not frozen, making sure that they've got this fresh hay here, just to sustain them in these really cold temps.
And their coats and stuff are going to protect them, because I feel like a lot of times people think the cows are going to freeze. But how cold does it actually have to get, do you know, before they start, their tails freeze, their ears freeze, things like that?
Yeah, so pretty much we've been down to negative 25 here in Colorado, and they've done just fine. Like I said, just ensuring that they've got lots of, food to keep them, those calories, right, to keep them nice and warm. The water, make sure that they've got the fresh water, that it's not frozen over. And they live like they would, if we weren't raising them. This is what animals, were made to do. So they're going to be just fine.
Are you guys regenerative?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. So part of the grant that we got, if you see all of these, this fencing here, so this is to help us rotate the cattle in the summer months. So we'll do rotational grazing practices, just to make sure that they're not overgrazing the land. Mm-hmm. So that was why we were able to get the grant through the National Resource Conservation Service, is because we put in for that. We showed them that we're regenerative ranchers, and we were able to get that grant.
So for anyone who is listening and may not know, can you kind of define what it means to be regenerative?
Yeah, so regenerative ranching, just means that you are taking care of not only the land but the animals with the utmost care and respect. It means that you are not abusing the land, that you are regenerating the land. So, for example, I'll give you a hardcore example. We could easily just allow our cattle to graze out here. Now, it's different during the winter months, but when it gets nicer, when we get into the spring and the summer months, it would just be easy to say, okay, let's just let them graze out here and eat whatever they want. But that's not good for the land. So what we do is we do rotational grazing practices. So we keep them in a certain paddock for a certain amount of time. They'll eat what's in there, and then we move them, and then we rotate them, and then we move them. And that's actually mimics their natural behavior. They move like that, when they're in the wild. So what that does is it just makes sure that they're not overgrazing, that you're giving them this piece of land to eat the forage that's there, because they'll go after all their favorite pieces, right? Like a kid in a candy store. They'll go after, all their favorite candy, if you will. So by rotationally grazing them that way, we're making sure that they are evenly, foraging on the land without going crazy and deteriorating it.
You mentioned earlier that you were surprised at the fact that you actually felt love for these animals,
Yes.
which I think is a huge misconception for a lot of people. They think that ranchers are just these heartless murderers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that a little?
Yeah. So when we first started ranching, I didn't know how much my heart would be impacted by raising these animals. And that has been the hardest thing for me, is raising them, being out here with them, and knowing their purpose is to, provide for us, for our family, for our friends, for our community. That's really hard. But I think what it does is it just pushes me even more to say, how can I give them the best life, one that God intended? Because they are nourishing us. So I want to give these animals the best life possible. And in turn, they really are nourishing us, just providing so much for us. So you'll notice that they'll come up to us. They're very docile. They're very friendly. They're very calm. And that's part of our low stress management. We give a lot of credit to, some of the books out there that we've read on low stress management, but they're just very, very friendly. We don't yell at them. We don't, scream or hit them or anything like that. We're just very, very calm and nurturing with them. And in turn, they'll come up to us and just love on us.
Aw. Are they branded at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of them our babies are not. So we still have to do some branding this summer.
And so this is no vax, no hormones, just grass-fed, grass-finished.
Yep. Grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised, and just trying to give them, the best wholesome life possible. But just like even being in this close of proximity with them, people are oftentimes like, oh, that's just really cool. Usually they'd wait, but
Yeah.
they're very, very friendly.
Yeah. Which I noticed that too at all of these places that I'm visiting. The animals are very comfortable with humans, which I think is a testament to how you guys care for these animals,
Yep.
that they're not scared of you. How cute. So what?
And it's nice too that we have a small enough herd, because you're really able to keep a close eye on them.
So what are the horses for?
Okay, so these are the ranch's horses.
Okay.
And they needed some room for them, so they brought them out here. Typically, they're not out here, but the ranch, just the dude ranch across the way, that owns this property, brought the horses over. I need to get some pictures of the cattle here.
What else do you feed them?
This is it.
This is it?
Yeah. So
all year long?
All year long. So if you see, we had a beautiful spring and summer. And if you just look, you see all this forage here?
Yes.
So just like lambs and just like goats, they use their hooves to just dig here, and then they'll eat this forage here. So believe it or not, there's still a lot of forage for them, thankfully, because we had an incredible spring and summer.
Very cool. So when are these going to be ready to be, what would you call it?
Processed.
Processed. When are
Yep.
these guys going to be ready to be processed?
So number 8 will be ready really soon.
Okay.
So we keep our animals anywhere from 28 to 36 months because when you're grass feeding them only, pasture raising them only,
Yeah.
it takes longer for them to put on the weight. So grain fed, they're going to probably put on weight anywhere from like 18 to 20 months. But with grass fed only, it takes them a lot longer to put on that weight. So we're going to keep them back anywhere from 24 to 36 months. These ones right here, like number 84, these are our babies from the spring. They look really, really good. They're big, but we're going to have them for another 2.5 years before they go to harvest.
Okay, so what are your guys' plans for the future? Where do you see this going, or what do you hope to achieve in the future?
Well, hopefully we're able to acquire some more land
Yep.
in the area. That way we can, kind of keep our operation somewhat in the same geographic area, and then expand with some more animals and be able to provide more meat for more customers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was talking
Wait,
to
here, if we
Yep.
maybe we should. I don't know if it'll pick you up, but here, maybe hold it, send it back and forth to each other. Things that I was asking earlier was exactly what is the definition of regenerative? What are the stipulations that you have to achieve in order to get that title?
Unfortunately, it's pretty vague, like most of the USDA terms that are out there. So it's about as generic as grass-fed. So in order to put that on your label, they usually tell you have to have a link that goes to your website to explain what it means to you. For us, regenerative obviously is important. It means you're making it better than you found it, right? So there's sustainable and there's regenerative. Sustainable would be whatever condition you started your lease. We came out here, we're going to sustain where we're at. For regenerative, I think it means you're going to go ahead and try to make it better than it was previously. And most of the land was doing pretty good before we came around and over farmed it, over ranched it, and kind of beat it into the ground. So
not us personally.
just people
In general.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
Get it back to like it was looking before people had a hand in it.
And that's part of the regenerative ranching for us. It's like really, really important is treating our animals with love, respect, dignity, giving them the best life possible. So all of those things in combination, for sure.
We take a pretty hands-off approach. We don't wean them. We let the moms wean the calves when they're ready. We let them calve in sync with the other large herbivores in the area, so they start to breed in late September, early October, so that we have spring calves, and they just do a lot better. We don't calve in the winter like some people do in this region. So.
And so I asked your wife earlier, and I'm curious what your answer is. What has been the hardest part of being a first generation rancher for you?
Getting close to your food source, I think, is the hard thing. You can learn everything from, thankfully we have the internet. There's so many books and magazines. You can learn a lot through social media and just following people that you align with. But I think the hardest part is being that connected to your food source. So a lot of these guys, like the smaller ones here, like these two behind us, they're calves that we, delivered in some circumstances. Sometimes they're born, obviously, without our intervention. But, we raised them for 3 years, and then we processed them, and it's just tough to say goodbye.
And we talked a little bit about that. Yeah, for sure. Like how our hearts are just so connected to what we do. And then the other thing too is just that ranching in general is hard, like financially. That I talked about that too.
Right.
Just starting out with.
There's no money in it, folks.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's why we both work like 3 jobs.
Yeah,
we do this because we love it.
love it.
And we really appreciate that other people align with our ethos at raising healthy animals and raising them the way that we believe they should be raised. And we're just going to keep doing it because I'm not going to eat any other meat. So Henry doesn't want to be
just standing in the back.
Henry, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then this is Henry, by the way, you guys. This is their son, and he's been our driver. He's the one that helped us as we fed the cows. But
How much do you get paid out here to do chores?
I get a roof over my head and food in my belly.
Good answer. When we talk about things that I was talking to you in the car, like sometimes it's hard for me just to come out and say, like, I don't agree with people feeding grain to cattle. Well, why? We could go into the whole monoculture thing, monocrop concept, and most of those crops are sprayed with toxic pesticides and herbicides. Josh is really good about just being like, this is what we believe, Jess, like you were talking about in the car.
Yeah.
This is what we believe. It doesn't have to be what you believe, but we believe that this is right. We believe that this is wrong, that kind of thing. And he's really good about just like saying that he's called some people out who were claiming like, we're doing grass fed, we're doing grass finished, we're doing pasture raised, and we're like, but you're not. Like, don't confuse consumers
Then
who
you can
call them
call it
grass
grass
fed.
fed, and that's fine. But a lot of that hay and alfalfa and stuff that you're feeding them is grown commercially, and they're putting down pre-emergence and other, like she said, the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and different stuff on what they're growing.
And the consumer isn't really aware of those things.
Yeah, they may not know the questions to even ask. They just assume it's grass fed.
Which I think it's so important why we're doing things like this, and this is so helpful to give people this information and let them know.
Yeah, you're standing right now on one of the hay fields that we grow the hay on in the summertime. So see these half circles that come around? That's where this big pivot spins around and waters all this grass, and that's it. We don't use anything on it. Whereas if we were buying it commercially, we wouldn't know exactly what went into the hay or what is going into the animals.
So the big question that everyone always asks, or the argument everyone always makes, is that this isn't sustainable and this can't feed the world. What do you guys say to that?
We're not trying to feed the world, really. We're trying to take care of our family, our community, our friends. And, we talked about it when we were together in the car, like, get to know your farmer and rancher and produce your meat directly, your fruits, your vegetables, whatever, directly from your farmer and rancher. We don't have to feed the whole world.
I don't believe that we're going to run out of resources.
Yeah.
We need to do.
And I think people forget that it's not always just one or the other. You can do multiple things on a regenerative ranch. You don't just have to have cows. You can have cows and grow some sort of tree or something that gives you nuts in some way,
And I'm not against the grain. I just think it's silly to feed cattle things like corn. When you're growing corn, you get one harvest a year. You're using a lot of inputs such as chemicals, to grow that, and then you're feeding it back to them. Well, in Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, all these areas, why couldn't you just grow grass and rotate the cattle around on it?
Okay. Well, I think thank you so much for letting me come and experience throwing hay. Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
The cows appreciate it.
I had so much fun, and I just think this is just another cool way that we can encourage people to have a relationship with the person that's raising their food and reconnect people with where their food comes from. But if that's it, where can people go to follow you guys or to buy some of your stuff?
Yeah. So, well, first, I just want to say thank you for coming. Like, I'm so excited that you guys came out. It's been an honor to have you. I love what you're doing. So thank you. Thank you. And then also, we just feel very blessed and honored to be able to raise animals and to be able to have the land. So we're very grateful to God for all of that. But you can find us at Ciardullo _cattle _ oh my gosh. Okay, tell them your handle.
You just did Ciardullo _cattle _co.
Yes. And then I'm Erica _Ciardullo, and then ciardulloranch.com. So yes.
So you guys only sell direct to consumer local. So if people are interested in buying your stuff, they need to be local here. But you also are going to start doing tallow and things like that they can buy online.
Yep. So with our meat, that's local. And then I do sell body tallow from our beautiful animals. I use the fat, I render it. We make small batches, and then they can buy that on our website. And then we're hopefully getting our cooking tallow back in stock soon.
Perfect. And that stuff's not local. That can be shipped anywhere.
Totally.
Okay.
Yes.
And gluten-free bread starter.
Oh, yes. And our sourdough starter. Gluten-free sourdough starter. Yes. And honey. And apparel.
Merch. I love the merch.
Yes. Oh,
dang it.
Oh, we forgot a shirt. Okay.
We'll get you one.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you again for letting me visit. I've had so much fun and I've learned so much, of course. But yeah, and I'll be sure to link everything in the description so you guys can go and find them and get some tallow to cook with, because it's so much better than seed oils. But I thank you again.
Yes,
guys.
thank you.
Bye. See you next time.